A good Sunday afternoon, everybody. From the nation's capital, it's the last of four between the Marlins and the Washington Nationals. It has been all Nats in this series, but hopefully that tune will change this afternoon. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. Well, a tough loss last night for the Marlins, perhaps lost in all of it, all the runs scored by the Nationals. The fact that Starlin Castro continued to stay hot. His last couple of weeks, he's basically a 500 hitter.
Yeah, nothing's going to get in his way right now. Line to line, again, those shoulders square, and so good to see. We've seen the power the other way. We've seen power to the left. But the hits, they continue to come. I've watched Starlin's career. I had the privilege of being with him in Chicago, and when he gets like this, those are the types of numbers he puts up. And he can do this for a little while. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he rides us right into the All-Star break.
Well, if Starlin Castro was hot since June 25th, I don't know what adjective you'd use to describe Mark Reynolds. Let's just put it this way. The walk-off home run Friday paired with yesterday. He's 6 for his last 6 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. A historic night last night.
Well, listen, I think this is the best way that you describe momentum inside the game of baseball. It's complicated. It's an interesting conversation, but there's no doubt that if you look at what Mark Reynolds did on Friday night to what led into last night, that he clearly created some momentum for himself. His confidence was through the roof. And, oh, by the way, look at his numbers on the season. 8 for 12 with 4 home runs against the Marlins. So what ends up happening is you get in the box, you walk right in, and you expect results. And I'll tell you right now, he's getting them. 12 RBIs in 12 games this season against the Marlins.
Unbelievable. So the Nationals wrap up their homestand before the All-Star comes in. The All-Star festivities next week. We've got the series finale in Washington, D.C. Marlins looking to get the last of this 4-game set. Back with the first pitch after this. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By W.B. Mason. Who but W.B. Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Well, back here about a month from now, and we can only hope for weather like this. What a beautiful day for baseball, as it was last night. The third of four, today the last of four. Derek Dietrich to lead things off and takes a strike on the outside corner from Tanner Roark. Well, Dietrich leads things off. The rest of the Marlins lineup presented to you by Southwest. Brian Anderson back in there after his first day off of the year last night, as Dietrich is raised with the pitch, adding to that ever-growing franchise mark of hit by pitch. So the first base runner is on against Tanner Roark, who his last 3 or 4 starts has had 3 or 4 different looks with the hair and the mustache. But in terms of the pitching and the numbers, Holly, what do you have?
Well, and that's in terms of somebody who's kind of generally searching for something, right? We change our socks, we change the mustache. You see the numbers on the season, 4.60 ERA. I don't know if that's a little bit more traditional. I think even the Nationals would probably tell you, this guy's kind of a grinder. He's our 4th, 5th starter, and that's kind of who he is. Nationals haven't won a Roark start in over a month. He's given up runs in all 18 games he's pitched in this year, but at the same time he's had quality starts in 11 of 17. So what does that tell you? It tells you there's been some inconsistency there, but at the same time he gives you length. He usually gives you a pretty long start, right around that 6-7 inning mark. Doesn't tax your bullpen, and now pitching into his 106th inning this season. That's a good number,
especially in a rotation like this, which certainly has Max Scherzer. He was on display last night. Gio Gonzalez saw him a couple of nights ago. Steven Strasburg working his way back as they get a check on Dietrich over at first. So for Anderson, who is even in the count 1-1 to Roark, his first day off of the year yesterday, and he was the only rookie that had played in every game for his team so far this year. So consistent at 284 at the start of play today with 6 homers and 44 RBIs. He takes inside 2-1. Roark struggled a bit in June, struggled his last time out, his first start in July. As he pitches for the Nationals today, they are in search of a 4-game sweep of the Marlins. Of course, Miami looking to get a win, and if they can somehow, some way get a win, it would be the first against the Nationals in what seems like forever. 14 games.
Pretty good changeup, last pitch from Roark, and a hitter's count. Righty on righty, don't see that too often. That's who he is, though. He throws 5 pitches, he'll use them all. Lefty's hitting 257 coming in with 8 home runs. Righty's 242 with 7 home runs. That kind of tells you who Roark is. He doesn't struggle to one side of the plate. It's just more of a, where is he at in his game? Go back to his last start against the Boston Red Sox. 7 innings. Good number. 10 hits. Not so good. 9 earned runs. Awful. All that happened in 98 pitches.
First pitcher in a decade to pitch at least 7 innings and allow at least 9 earned runs. The last to do it, believe it or not, Greg Maddux, the Hall of Famer, in 2008 when he was pitching for the Padres.
Sometimes it happens fast, but again, that that's what happens to strike throwers. They're around the plate all day long. They're not, scattering it. Usually there's some element of that. He only walked a couple of batters in that game, so he wasn't scared of the home plate.
3-2 pitch to Anderson to Turner at short, and Andy gets doubled up, 2 away.
That leadoff base runner eliminated. Hard hit ball by Anderson. Let's go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report. Here in the first inning of Tanner Roark. He's been on a tough run. 9 earned runs, I mentioned it. His last start, 7.22 ERA over his last 7 starts. 8 home runs allowed. Keep an eye on that. We've seen some long balls in this series. All right, no place like home. Doesn't like it here at Nats Park. 5.73 ERA. Is pitched much better on the road, and time for a change. Actually threw a good one already, but keep an eye on that this afternoon's ball game. It's the biggest difference for Roark in 2018. is the ineffectiveness of actually his changeup. It's his #1 secondary pitch to lefties in his career. 221 batting average against, but this season 304. Lefties hitting 324. Going to that curveball a little bit more to the lefties.
Here's JT Realmuto, a home run in last night's ball game. And this a base hit the other way.
Here are the 45-43 Nationals for you defensively, looking to even up their record at 500 at home this season. Soto, Harper, Eaton, that's your outfield. Reynolds, Turner, Murphy, and Adams. Kieboom behind the plate for Roark.
1 on and 2 out for Justin Bour. Bour a home run and 3 RBIs in the series. Takes ball 1 just outside. The home run and 3 RBIs, but just 2 hits. Last night he was 0 for 4. Cue shot foul, and it's 1-1. Well, I don't know the answer. I can only hope that the answer is yes. JT might know. Everybody will know tonight exactly what I'm talking about, and that is the All-Star selections will be announced later on tonight. He may have already been informed. I'm not sure. Hopefully, he will be back here in Washington, D.C. for the All-Star break a little more than a week from now. I believe the announcement's tonight at 7 p.m. for everyone. But he has done nothing but make a strong case to get back here to D.C. for the Midsummer Classic.
And I thought yesterday's home run against Scherzer was part of that argument. You're absolutely right, Paul. I think about what he could have done on the national level yesterday. How about a home run against a guy that he has struggled against big time?
Long throw by Reynolds, but unable to dig it out by Adams at first. And over to third goes Realmuto. The Nationals had 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. The only one on the left side of the infield was Mark Reynolds, who had to range to his backhand and then come up with one and a short hop over to first base, and it's 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, that in-between hop ate up Adams over at first base. Definitely should have been a base hit right there. Reynolds was panicking because it was a slow roller off the bat, knowing that Bour slowed down the line, probably had a little bit more time. The Marlins will certainly take it, looking for a lead. Battled early. They battled early in all 3 games. Obviously, Marlins have kind of rushed out, and the Nats have come back and, in fact, all 3 games of this series.
So after the hit and E5 for Reynolds, here's Starlin Castro, who offers at the first pitch, pops this one up wide of first base, and Adams runs out of room. Well, for Castro, again, a 6-game hit streak for him, hitting a cool .542 in that span with 2 doubles and a home run. And he's 24 for his last 50. One and one. The inning started with Derek Dietrich getting hit by a pitch. Brian Anderson grounded into a double play. JT Realmuto, a base hit down the right field line to stay hot. Justin Bour reaches on a single and an E5 for Reynolds. And here we are, 1st and 3rd, 2 away. And the 1-1 to Castro is in there for a called strike. Jim Reynolds behind the plate. John Tumpain over at first. Mike DeMuro, the second base umpire, and Mark Wegner is the umpire at third.
Roark's arsenal: sinker, 4-seam fastball, changeup, slider, curveball, and the occasional cutter. I mentioned it early. He has 5 pitches, sometimes 6, depending on the circumstances.
Just got a piece of that one to stay alive.
You saw how he worked right there. Went to the 2-seam fastball and to the big breaking ball, trying to get Starlin to chase. He's able to defend. Almost that same spot. Just enough of it. extend this at bat. Sixth home run of the season last night for Castro. 6-game hitting streak.
They don't keep a close eye on Bohr at all as he gets into second base. So 2 in scoring position now with 2 outs.
Yeah, it's like catcher's indifference, but you know what? That's a stolen base.
It is. He's not
I always laugh about that. It's a stolen base early in the game, but it never is late, right?
Yeah. It's the second of his career. Had 1 last year.
Oh, he'll take it.
'22nd pitch of the inning coming from Tanner Roark. On the way to Castro. Took a little bit more off. And Roark strands a couple of Marlins in the first. DC, the Washington Monument. Scoreless as we go to the bottom of the first inning here in DC, last of a 4-game set. Adam Eaton will lead things off in the Nationals lineup, presented to you by Southwest. Trey Turner, who had 8 RBIs on Thursday night, hit second. Then Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, and Mark Reynolds, who had 10 RBIs to upstage Trey Turner. 10 RBIs in last night's victory. So Eaton will be the one who leads it off against Trevor Richards this afternoon, who looks to be something of a stopper for this team to try to keep this Nationals offense in check.
Well, it's only last road trip, right? We saw Trevor Richards take the mound in Colorado after an 11-3 loss on, I think it was a Friday night ball game. It was a Saturday day game, and he stepped right into that role. 6 innings, 3 hits, 8 Ks, picked up the win. Outstanding stuff then. Marlins certainly hoping for and expecting outstanding stuff today. 5.26 ERA on the season. We talk about it a lot. He has got to find a way to get ahead and stay ahead. Good first pitch there as we talk about Eaton. He is the #1 guy in all of baseball. That's right, with the biggest discrepancy between working ahead in the count and falling behind. And he's working ahead. Talking about Trevor Richards.
Going to get a ground ball here to Bohr, who takes himself for the first out.
Hitters are hitting 175 now, much like his last start where he got knocked around a little bit. 4 runs early against the Rays. He fell behind, well, in part because the Rays came out and were ultra aggressive early. 7 of the 9 hits in the ballgame against him came on the first or second pitch. Here's where I'm going with that. When he's behind in the count or hitters counts, his batting average against is .526. Difference of 352 points. That tells you how effective he's got to be early in the count, making good pitches so that he can set his great changeup up. If he doesn't get to it, he's in trouble.
Well, he is behind Trey Turner, who takes low. Now 2 balls and no strikes. Again, Turner had the big night the other night, but that's not the only big night that he's had lately. His last 18 games, he's 28 for 74. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 17 runs scored. A catalyst for this Nationals offense, which in their last 4 wins, 52 runs. In their last 4 losses, or their rest of their games, 52 runs. So it's been hit or miss for this club.
Well, I'll tell you what, good sign here against Turner. Fell behind 2-0, went to the big breaking ball. Doesn't like to go there. He traditionally does. Got a swing, and then he was able to get back into this count with a good changeup. Nice job.
Here's a 2-2 now. And he went around for the first strikeout of the afternoon. 2 away here in the first.
That's some fantastic sequencing, getting all the way back around against Turner after falling behind 2-0. Curveball, changeup. It's exactly what we're talking about. That is a nasty changeup. Hitters, even major league hitters, don't like it first, second, or third time through the lineup, but he's got to find a way to get to it and consistently put hitters in a position to put them away with that pitch. Through 29 changeups, second most of the season, his last time out.
Juan Soto, 308 hitter, 8 homers, 26 RBIs. Certainly making a case for National League Rookie of the Year as he takes upstairs. And I think one thing that we've noticed is that at the plate, he doesn't look like a teenager.
No, he looks like somebody who's been in the league for about 6 years. He takes borderline pitches. He knows his strike zone. He doesn't really get away from his game plan. Not too many young hitters do that. Young hitters want to prove that they can hit first and that they've got discipline second. He actually is doing it the other way around. It's impressive.
He's hitting third in the lineup today. Bryce Harper behind him. And the 2-2 from Richards. This is a little in. Of course, Richards started the game that went 16 innings against the Tampa Bay Rays on Tuesday night. Actually got his first career RBIs in that game. A game that went 5 hours, 31 minutes. It was a great day, but I hope today's game goes less than that.
He did a nice job kind of holding the deficit. We talked about it in the ball games. He walks Soto. All right, let's get to the Marlins defensively for this afternoon's game. Dietrich in his 65th start in left field. By the way, 3 outfield assists, only 1 error in left. Raven in center, Anderson in right, Prado, Riddle, Castro, and Bohr. That's your infield. JT Realmuto behind the plate. 85 fielding percentage. That's 5th best in the National League for this Marlins team.
Bryce Harper reached base 4 times in yesterday's game. He takes a look at a strike. 3 for 3 with a walk and 4 runs scored. On the homestand, he is 5 for 19 with a double and 6 walks. So for what he is lacking in the batting average, he's making up in the on-base percentage, which sits at .371.
Well, he's definitely taken his walks. Obviously, the strikeout's part of this conversation. 21 home runs, recognizes that he's run into him and driving in some runs as well with 50 RBIs. OPS is, pretty solid. Really what it comes down to is who is Bryce Harper and do you expect more? Than somebody who's giving you an 850, 875 OPS, and generally speaking, people do. All those walks, though, it really, to me, at least speaks to he's defending the strike zone as that one gets away. Soto able to move up to second base on the wild pitch. With Harper, defend the strike zone. He's done that, but he hasn't really been hitting his pitch here. Now, going on about 6 weeks.
But Richards has him set up 1 ball and 2 strikes. Soto now at second base after the walk and wild pitch. And he was able to hold up. Or was he? I think the home plate umpire said he might have tipped it into the glove, and Harper is not quite sure on that explanation from Jim Reynolds. Let's take a closer look. I think Reynolds got it right. Through 1.
I did. I looked at him. He had it.
Couple of strikeouts in the inning for Trevor Richards, including the one on Bryce Harper, which he didn't think he got a bat on the ball, but take a close look right about there.
Yeah, he ticked it.
The ball just barely changes direction.
That's all it takes.
So on we go. Here's Martin Prado, who takes a ball low and away from Tanner Roark. Prado got the day off yesterday, or the night off yesterday.
He comes in boasting the best numbers against Roark in his career, 435.
Well, you can add to it, can't you?
Yeah, I didn't get it out fast enough, did I? There you go. Good boy, Martin. That's the way we like to do it right there. I was just getting ready to say, well, he's got good history here, good 20-plus bats, sitting well against him. Whack. What you like to see. Now, one thing for Roark, and we've seen it already, he's had issues with the leadoff batter in innings. Hitter's hitting .291 coming in. Now 1 for 1 on the afternoon. Hit Dietrich in the first.
And now right back to the stretch for JT Riddle. Riddle was 1 for 4 yesterday, a run scored and a triple, and that at-bat in which he registered the triple was on the 10th pitch of the at-bat against Max Scherzer. He had a 10-pitch at-bat. Derek Dietrich had an 8-pitch at-bat. They made Scherzer work, and of course, you know, at the end of the day, with Reynolds having 10 RBIs and the Nationals scoring so many runs, as Riddle gets another base hit, you know, some of those mini battles within the game may sometimes get lost.
Well, one thing that we know about this Marlins offense, and we've seen it, I know what happens is that you get caught up in the fact that the Nationals have scored 35 runs and winning the first 3 games. The Marlins offense has been better over the last 4 to 6 weeks. And Riddle's a great example of that. We've seen guys using going line to line. How about Riddle? 4 of his last 6 hits have gone for extra bases. He's not only hitting over 350, but he's hitting with authority. 3 doubles, couple triples, couple of home runs. Saw the triple last night.
strike to Cameron Maben.
In April and May, you and I were, we would talk about this. Marlins kind of had two hot hitters, it seemed like, about every week that you can kind of focus in on. JT has kind of been part of this conversation all along. But as we've now kind of gotten into July, you've got like 4 or 5 guys in this lineup who are really swinging the bat well.
Low to Maben to even things up. Maben this year is 4 for 12 against the Nationals. And he's got a hit in each of his last 4 games, including a home run. His first since last September. If he can come up with another hit here, it might get the Marlins on the board against Roark and the Nationals here in the second. 2-1. A 6.08 ERA in June for Tanner Roark, and then, as Holly mentioned before, 9 runs, 2 home runs over 7 innings pitched in his first start in July. So his last 7 starts have been not so good. A base hit for Maben, and Prado getting waved around, and it's a 1-0 lead for Miami as Maben comes through yet again.
Well, how about the game plan approach from the Marlins this afternoon? We've already seen it. Realmuto the other way, Prado the other way, Riddle the other way, Maben to center field. There you go. That's getting it done against somebody who's got a pretty vast arsenal. Told you he's got 5 pitches. He'll throw them at any time. This Marlins offense has come with that in mind.
Now the Nationals anticipate the bunt from Trevor Richards with the corners in. And Richards gets it down. Roark fields. His only play is to first. And a successful bunt for Richards has 2 on in scoring position and 1 out.
Well, bring your pup out to Marlins Park for the first Bark at the Park of the season, presented by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Play the game with your furry friend on Saturday, July 14th, when the Marlins take on the Phillies. Purchase your tickets today, marlins.com/bark. A portion of the proceeds benefit the Humane Society of Broward County.
You saw Dietrich in one of those pictures, and here he is now. A chance to maybe open things up a little bit against Roark after the RBI single from Cameron Maben.
He's got good numbers against Roark. He really didn't get to it. He was hit on the second pitch of the ball game. 5 for 19, 263 average. Does have a home run.
Cut on and missed. 1-1. He was 1 for 4 yesterday. The hit by pitch doesn't change the 3 for 10 in the series with 3 runs scored. If you go back to the last day in May, he's hitting over 330. Oh, look out. Just narrowly missed Brian Anderson in the on-deck circle. Got somebody in the, or just missed someone in the camera well down there too. So 13 hit by pitches for Dietrich after getting plunked, and I use that word loosely, in the first inning. So now tops in the National League.
Yeah, good take. Roark went to the changeup against Dietrich. He hasn't completely eliminated it from his arsenal. Actually threw a pretty decent one right 2 pitches ago that he fouled off. That's the ball that everybody's talking about. And came back with the curve.
Two fought off again. The average for Dietrich right now sits at 288, which at the start of play was number 20 in the National League. Leadoff singles by Prado and Riddle before a Cameron Maben RBI single gave the Marlins the 1-0 lead, and then a well-executed sacrifice bunt from Trevor Richards, moving both runners into scoring position. And a chance here for Dietrich and the top of the order to stretch the lead a little bit more, as it will be 3-2.
Well, playing him just a shade to left in the outfield, shade to pull on the infield.
Payoff pitch on the way is popped up behind home plate. Kieboom looked right into the sun, but ran out of room anyway, and Dietrich will see another.
I'll tell you what, Dietrich's give us that classic example, if you're a young hitter at home watching, like how big league hitters foul off tough 2-strike pitches. That's what Dietrich's been doing, and that was a pretty good example of it. He was fooled by the velocity. That was a hanging changeup way out in front. All he's trying to do is exactly this, just foul it off. Just get a little piece, hope it gets out of play. Nobody has anything to do with it. It's called spoiling pitches until he gets something he can handle.
Or if he gets hit for the second time tonight or this afternoon.
Now, after that, there's no way you're going to argue with me. I've told you this a million times. It's an art.
It is. It is. And all those black and blues equal a masterpiece. Been hit for the second time today, and now the bases are loaded for Brian Anderson.
Now, he's no good in these situations, is he?
No, not at all. I mean, there are two guys in baseball that are better than him with runners in scoring position, entering the day at 427. Riddle, the runner, at third. Maben is at second. And Dietrich at first.
As we've told you many times, for the young Mr. Anderson, loves the middle of the field, loves to go the other way. Second in Major League Baseball with 29 RBIs up the middle the other way.
He takes outside. He grounded into a double play in the first inning. Does have a double, a home run, 3 RBIs, and a couple of runs scored in this series. Just Matt Kemp in the National League at 438. Kemp maybe getting some news at some point today that he'll be here in D.C. next week for the All-Star game. Popped up. And they did call the infield fly rule very late, however. I was waiting for an umpire to call it, but the umpire doesn't just call it because it's a pop-up. The fielder has to show that he's under it, camped under it, and will make the catch. And neither Murphy nor Adams was really there. But Adams somehow, an acrobatic prayer of a catch for out number 2.
Yeah, I had to leave both feet full extension. I did not see full extension as part of my description of that mile-high pop-up. No doubt the wind, there's definitely a little bit of a wind in the ballpark today, along with the sun.
So the base is loaded, 2 out for JT Realmuto, who takes a fastball inside. Yeah, I don't think that they call the infield fly rule at any point in time. If they did, it was very late. But either way, a catch for Adams and the second out of the inning. Realmuto, line drive, base hit into right field. That will score 1. Here comes Maben, and it's a 3-0 lead as JT Realmuto does it again.
Well, time and time again, he's going to push his career batting average against Roark up over 400 with this base hit. I'll tell you, Such great approaches all throughout the first half today. Game plan, stay inside the baseball. I mean, it is amazing the results that you get. Some particular hitters on this Marlins team this season. JT kind of leading the charge on this conversation, but when he just stays through the middle of the field, up to 428.
And now Justin Bohr takes a ball.
So you're hoping to make the All-Star team. You know, you play on a day where, you know, the guy on the mound's got your number. You're like one for infinity. Hit a home run against him, right?
Right.
Max Scherzer yesterday, and then you show up the following day, and yes, you're in the lineup catching again, by the way. Day game after a night game. I always switch that up. And you've got 2 hits right out of the gates and a couple of RBIs.
Yeah. Now, of course,
I know there's no more voting. I know there's no more anything. I'm just, you know, kind of in that frame of mind. He seems to be right on the spot to catch everybody's attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That one in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike. Now, of course, you don't want to lose a game the way that they lost it last night, but if there was a benefit to it, it was that Don Mattingly was able to get Real Muto out of the game about halfway through, save his legs a little bit, so he could be in the lineup today against Roark.
Well, not only that, they're trying to snap this ridiculous losing streak, for crying out loud, that the Nationals have against them. I mean, you got to send the troops out. You got to try and put an end to this.
Yeah.
61st start behind the plate for JT Realmuto. Remember, he missed the first couple weeks of the season.
That one up and in to Bohr, and they are loaded again. And out comes the pitching coach, Derek Lilliquist. It's the first walk of the afternoon for Roark, but of course he's hit Dietrich twice, so 3 free bases. And they're loaded with 2 outs for Starlin Castro. One last note on Realmuto, by the way. He may be leaving the team in the next couple of days. I guess there's a pending paternity leave. So
you're not one last note, because I got another note for you.
Okay.
Because I'm just kind of putting things together here. And not only is he hitting above 300 with runners in scoring position, certainly worth mentioning. How about this? You know, for a team, and we've talked about, you know, what JT means to this lineup. 42 RBIs in the season. 20 of his RBIs have come with 2 outs. Nearly half.
Some say there is no clutch. I disagree. See if Castro can be clutch here as he takes a called strike. Strike on the inside corner, and quickly 0-2 to Castro. He struck out to end the first inning, the only strikeout for Roark. Marlins have scored 3 in the inning. An RBI single for Cameron Maben, a 2 RBI single for Realmuto. 22 pitches in the first and 30 so far here in the second for Roark. Castro's going to have to battle down 0-2. Guy who over the past couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so, has picked up 30 points in his batting average. He's at 297 right now. If he can get a little closer to 300, likely score 2. Back to the screen.
A small sample size. 333 with the bases loaded this season. For 5 RBIs.
Florida Lottery in-game jackpot the last 2 weeks. Right at 500.
Well, last I checked, Roark's righty.
That's right. Castro swings and misses. to end the second inning, but it's an inning in which the Marlins score 3 runs. Martin Prado, Riddle get a base hit. Maben brings it home before JT adds 2 more.
Which will be played this year at Nationals Park. It's on July 17th, and Fox will have the coverage for you. For Nats fans, there's one player in particular that they want to see involved in all of the festivities. That is Bryce Harper. Now, Harper said that he will participate in the Home Run Derby if he is a part of this year's All-Star team. Guys, the All-Star selections will be announced tonight.
Jessica, thanks so much. Yeah, 21 home runs for Harper, and it just feels like 21 home runs for Mark Reynolds. On the year, he's got 10, but over the course of his last 6 at-bats, he's got 3 of them. And he will lead things off. It's Reynolds, Adams, and Murphy against Richards, who has a 3-0 lead. We don't often see the platoon for the Nationals has been Reynolds at first if there's a lefty on the mound. Adams will start if there's a righty, but there's no way to take this guy out of the lineup right now. I don't care if there's an octopus on the mound. He's starting.
Walk-off home run on Friday night, 5 for 5 yesterday, 10 RBIs. How about his seasonal numbers against the Marlins? Let's not forget, they saw him earlier this season. He also hit a home run in that series in Miami. 4 homers, 12 RBIs, 12 at-bats. One filthy changeup, I'll tell you. Trevor Richards, boy oh boy, that's one thing that'll mess you up, I'll tell you. See if he can get it done today. Reynolds comes in as hot as he could possibly be. You see the numbers at the bottom of your screen.
He's able to hold up. Count runs full. How about a return on investment for Mark Reynolds, signed to a minor league contract April 17th, which, whether or not he has done what he's done in the last 2 or 3 days here, was shocking enough just with what he's done in his career. Still 3-2. This is a guy who's had a terrific major league career. He's hit for power basically everywhere he's gone. There's 291 career home runs. And he takes ball 4 just outside. Second walk this afternoon for Richards. Well, maybe not a bad idea in a vacuum against Reynolds to just have him get 1 base in a plate appearance, but in a larger sense, the walks have been the issue in this series for Marlins pitching.
They certainly have been, but I'll tell you what,
as Adams lines one out to Anderson and will play this one on hop. 2 on, nobody out.
Yeah, what I was getting at was Richards has been fine. I know we're only 6 batters into this ballgame. Still very early, but he's been on the corners. These are good pitches that just, he didn't get the call on that 3-2 pitch to Reynolds. Same could be said on the pitch to Soto as well. This little blooper into right field again. Adams fooled by the changeup way out in front, just able to drop it in right. And the one thing that you get with this Nationals lineup is that they're relentless. And I think that's where a lot of people around, well, even around the country, that say, well, the Nationals are still my team. I know they're only playing 500 ball, but if I'm picking a team out of the National League this year, I'm going with the Nats. Usually they go to this story here with this offense, and that's what's been so surprising through their struggles. Did you ever think you'd see Daniel Murphy in a Nats uniform hitting 7th in the lineup?
No.
I mean, I know I wouldn't.
I didn't think I'd look up.
I mean, this is one of the best left-handed hitters in the game over the last few seasons.
Yeah.
Minus a little knee procedure there at the end of last year.
I didn't think I'd look up and see him hitting 188 either.
Well, and that's true. He's working his way back. But I guess my point is that, he's been one of the most dominant lefty hitters in the National League over the last 3 seasons. That's how deep this team is. He's hitting 7th today.
And there's a base hit into right field. Reynolds comes around to score. Anderson's throw goes to third to keep Adams at second. And the Nationals back to within 2.
Fastball to the inside part of the plate. Murphy, this is kind of what he's known for. Short, compact, and powerful to the inside part. 91 miles an hour. He rips it into right. The RBI single.
It's a guy who hit .322 last year with 43 doubles and 23 home runs. A little surgery in the offseason kind of slowed him down a little bit in terms of getting geared up for 2018. But he comes up with a base hit to make it 3-1, and here is Spencer Keyboom, who shoots one the other way into right field. The low line drive, so the runners had to hold up, and they will be loaded for Roar.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I mean, is that what's been going on this entire series? Marlins rolled out in the 2nd inning. First 3 guys reached on singles. Well, after a leadoff walk to Reynolds, 3 consecutive singles by the Nationals.
Corners play in with Prado and Bohr at 3rd and 1st as Roark takes strike 1.
And we talk about this a lot, so you have to keep your eye on it when it comes to Richards. How aggressive a team gets against him early in the count. Keyboom, base hit, first pitch. Murphy, base hit, second pitch. Adams, base hit, first pitch. His last start, of the 9 hits he surrendered, 7 came on that first or second pitch.
One and 2 now to Roark. Right now it's just about limiting the damage in this inning. You can't take the 1 run off the board, but you like to keep it where you're still in front somehow, some way. Bases loaded, nobody out, and that's what makes Roark such a huge hitter right now. Eaton next, Turner after him. And the 1-2, he got him. Excellent job by Richards to get the first out of the inning.
Well, he's He's able to get to the circle change, and this is what it looks like. Roark fooled. He thinks that's in the strike zone as it comes out of his hand. See where it ends up, just atop the dirt. Nice job by JT Realmuto. Out number 1.
Now back to the top of the order, Adam Eaton. Three strikeouts tonight for this afternoon for Richards, and all 3 on the changeup. And again, to your point, he's down 1-0. You got to be ahead in the count to get to that changeup, that weapon. This one popped up. It's Riddle on the outfield grass. The infield fly rule is called much earlier than it was in the top half of this inning. And there are 2 big outs.
Now back-to-back changeups. See the frustration as Eaton trying to slam his bat. He thinks he's getting ready to go to work on a fastball that he sees really well, and he's fooled by the lack of velocity, 85 miles an hour. Huge second out.
And now Trey Turner. Already has a grand slam in this series. He also hit with the bases loaded later in that game when he drove in 8 runs on Thursday night. Spins away from that pitch inside, 1-0. Was a leadoff walk to Mark Reynolds, and then 3 consecutive singles. Adams, Murphy, and Kieboom. Murphy had the RBI. And it's 1-2 now to Trey Turner.
This is the cat and mouse game that sometimes happens. I'm pretty convinced Turner got in the box. He was trying to sit on that changeup. He's gone at him with fastballs. See, that's the add some velocity, take some away that you'll get into with hitters.
And strike 3 into the glove of JT Realmuto. Boy, walking a tightrope in that inning, only allows the 1. He hits him with a changeup. 3-1. Marlins fan right there, who also knows as well as anybody that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Martin Prado takes a called strike. It's Prado, Riddle, and Maben here in the third inning. We have seen it a lot in this series. The Marlins have done it. The Nationals certainly have done it. But 9 men to the plate in an inning. It's happened, what, 5 or 6 times already this series. No shortage of offense.
Right. Start to get to the All-Star break. Don Mattingly talked about it pregame today. Piling up of some innings. I've heard some chatter of, not just with the Marlins, really just kind of around baseball. A little fatigue. Another base hit from Martin Prado on an 0-2 pitch into left. Marlins are rolling once again.
Did you find yourself fighting that in the playing days? That week or so leading up to the All-Star break?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you really do. I mean, you certainly are going out there to win, but you can't help but, it's in your brain. It's there. It's a week away. You've been grinding all first half.
Prado away from first, and here's JT Riddle with the chopper to short. Turner goes to Murphy, and they'll be satisfied with the 1. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the first half of the season is really not the first half of the season. It's not. The All-Star break is not before game number 82. If you look at the Marlins schedule, you're upwards into the 98. The 98th game of the year is the Sunday against the Phillies, and then the All-Star break.
Well, and here's the thing. You kind of get to momentum and adrenaline and the things that drive the player side of this conversation. I'm sure it's the exact same thing with the starters, but my point is that you kind of get into a routine. You've got it. This is the one part of the year where maybe, just maybe, you run a little low on it. As you get into the second half, you've got different things that are driving you individually, personally, and then you've got, of course, playoff conversation that kind of kicks in late August. That always helps. Right here, everybody kind of falls into the same category. It's the All-Star break, and we've got a few days off coming up for some. Others, it's, still a cherished time of, going to the All-Star game and enjoying that period of time with your family. So, you got to find a way through these last 7 or 10 ball games. It's always a little bit of a grind.
Well, the Nationals are leaving town after today, and then D.C. really jumps into all-star mode. We saw Bob Carpenter yesterday, the voice of the Nationals yesterday, with all sorts of suits and stuff like that. He's got to clear out the whole booth because Fox is moving in. They'll have the All-Star game, and MLB Network has the Futures game on Sunday night. That'll be played here. The Home Run Derby Monday, the All-Star game itself. Bob and FP.
Yeah, it's a complete and total takeover. I experienced it last year.
Yeah.
Get any evidence of you out. That's the way it goes.
It's like being fired for 4 or 5 days. It's kind of, you never worked here. Get out of here.
Listen, on your way out, wipe down the table, would you?
Ball and 2 strikes to Cameron Maben, who now has a 5-game hit streak going after the RBI single in the second. It's a little low, 2-2. Maben getting some increased playing time in center field these last few days, with Lewis Brinson placed on the disabled list with hip inflammation. In fact, last night, Maben didn't start. It was Yadiel Rivera who got the start. As Maben flies this one down the right field line, Eaton gives chase, but that went into the seats. It was Rivera who got the start in center field, first of his professional career. And, well, basically, it's like Ken Griffey Jr. Willie Mays. He homered. First homer of his career in his first start in center field. I guess he's got a little ways to go to get to the Hall of Famers. Making light of it, but congratulations to Yadiel Rivera, his first big league home run last night. and off a brand name, too. Max Scherzer.
Caught an elevated changeup right there from Scherzer, able to level off. Good extension. A little Michael Jordan right there coming up to third base. Cameron Maybin now 4 for 6 against Roark, and I'll tell you what, he has been grinding on him this afternoon. He's already got himself a base hit. It's worked this count back to 3-2. Good numbers against Roark.
Payoff pitch with Riddle going. Throw down to second base is irrelevant as Maybin has worked the walk. Second walk this afternoon for Roark. Again, hit Dietrich twice. So giving away 4 base runners through the afternoon. And again, the Nationals expect the bunt with Richards digging in. And he gets it down again. Roark's play is to first. And while it's an 0 for 0 in the scorebook for Trevor Richards, he is 2 for 2 on the sacrifice bunts.
Both very good bunts. Only one place to go for the Nationals, and that was to first base. See if the Marlins can capitalize. Advancing of those 2 runners, Dietrich still looking to put a ball in play this afternoon. Hit by pitch twice.
Roark's 70th pitch of the afternoon misses low. 70 pitches, 2 outs into the third.
The 9th time in his career he's been hit by pitch, twice in a game.
And now 3 balls and no strikes with Anderson on deck. Bottom of the zone, 3-1. So he's approaching 75 pitches here in the third inning. He did go 7 straight starts this year. In mid-April through the end of May, throwing 100 pitches in each of those 7 starts. Usually you have to be pretty effective to do that. He threw 98 pitches his last start. And we mentioned before, first pitcher in about a decade to go 7 innings and give up 9 runs. So he's throwing pitches no matter what. Dietrich looking to extend this inning. 2 runners in scoring position and 2 outs. 3-1 pitch on the way. Is a strike.
Now that tells you an awful lot right there. Roark, 3-1 pitch. Runners on second and third. Goes to the breaking ball. He knows he's got a base open. He's not concerned about his pitch count. He's trying to get outs right now. That's a borderline pitch at best. Good take by Dietrich. He's not looking to swing at that. Now he has to defend.
This one popped up, foul territory, third base side. Reynolds moves over, but he runs out of room. I mentioned Riddle's 10-pitch at-bat yesterday that led to a triple. How about Dietrich, an 8-pitch at-bat in the first inning against Scherzer? He was able to walk away with it with a hit. Been a few times today that guys have battled against Roark, and Dietrich's in the middle of one of those right now. Next one he sees will be the 8th pitch of this at bat. Inside, ball 4, and the bases will be loaded for Brian Anderson.
Anderson, 23 RBIs. Runners in scoring position, 2 outs.
We've talked a lot about the advanced approach with 2 strikes for Anderson all year, but situations like this too, where just kind of that maturity of knowing that the pressure is on the pitcher, and he's able to kind of slow his own heart rate down. This one grounded to Reynolds, who just gets to the bag before Maben. Made a bid to perhaps clear the bases. Reynolds says no, sir. 3-1. Well, the changeup has been effective today for Trevor Richards. Here's what he had to say about it.
Yeah, it is, because the secondary pitches get him off my fastball. I can establish a fastball early, but now, I mean, they're swinging first fastball they see. So it's being able to pitch backwards and know what they're looking for in certain situations.
Some good sequencing this afternoon. How about 20 changeups? He's already thrown that. I mentioned his last start, he'd thrown 29. So that was the second most he'd thrown in any start. He's only thrown 41 pitches today. He's already thrown 20 changeups. This is how he's got to operate. Talk about the development of that curveball. He's thrown a couple of decent ones, but again, the changeup is by far his best pitch. He's got to be able to have his equalizer be a part of his game. And go back to that Rays start. I mean, they were just all over every fastball out of his hand because nobody wants to mess with his changeup.
There's a strike to Juan Soto. Soto to lead it off, and then Bryce Harper and Mark Reynolds here in the 3rd.
Now, I think it's some good game planning by Richards. You know, he got knocked around the first, or I should say his last couple of starts. I guess where I'm kind of going with that is, you know, when you stare at the numbers that I threw out early, I'll mention them again. When he gets ahead in the count, hitters are only hitting 175 against him. That's fantastic. That's a really solid number. But behind in the count, hitters are hitting, meaning the hitters are in hitters counts, 526. 526 is not doable. It's not sustainable.
No.
It's not going to work. It's the biggest discrepancy in baseball right now. 352 points coming into today.
Well, all 4 of the strikeouts on the changeup today. We'll see what the pitch is here on 3-2. It's a fastball in. And Soto is aboard to lead off the third.
StatCast, powered by AWS, shows you the metrics for Trevor Richards at extension 6'6", or excuse me, 6.6 feet of extension in the downward drop of that changeup.
He's got 3 walks this afternoon, and 2 of them Soto. Here's Harper. Harper, one of the 4 strikeouts today, and he fouls this one off. 0-1. Three walks today. His last time out against the Rays was his second big league start in which he did not issue any walks. There's Harper. Sends this one in the air toward left center field. Maben calls off Dietrich, who will make the play and get it into second base.
Well, Maben was racing over to back him up right there. You're right, he called him off. Dietrich's like, I got it. This is left field.
So now it's Reynolds. Walked and scored. The Nationals run in the second inning. And a line drive left center field. That will get down. Dietrich gets it in quick. Reynolds on his way to second with a 1-out double. My goodness.
Well, what do we tell you about game planning today? It's the first pitch fastball. What's Reynolds do? He jumps all over it. See where it's at. It's at the belt. It's up. Gets his arms extended and rips it into left center field. And he made his way into second base. You saw Castro making his way over to cut that off. Nobody was covering second.
Third double of the season. And if you go back to his walk-off home run on Friday night, he is 7 for his last 7. 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. 2 on 1 out now for Matt Adams. Takes low and away. 1-0. Adams had a base hit in the second inning. The second inning in which the Nationals left 3 runners on base. Unfortunately for the Marlins, they have done that in each of the last 2 innings. And they left 2 on in the first inning. So some opportunities to score some runs on both sides today. But it is Miami with a 3-1 lead here in the third. Ball and 2 strikes to Adams. 1 for 2 yesterday. And continues to hit against the Marlins. A home run, 3 RBIs this season. Off the disabled list. With a finger injury, was supposed to miss 6 weeks. Missed 16 games. Two and two. another test here in the third for Richards, as he had in the second, as the first 4 men reached. A walk, 3 hits, which led to a run. So a run in, and the bases loaded, no outs. And a strikeout of Roark, an infield fly, and then a strikeout of Turner. More stressful pitches for Richards here in inning number 3. Let's play over at first by Tim Bogart. And it's these sorts of stressful innings and stressful pitches that managers will look at more times than not. It's not just the overall, well, he's at 98 pitches. Sometimes it's the 30 that you throw in the third, or the 40 that you have to throw to get through a couple of stressful innings, more so than the overall number. And are they made more stressful or difficult, or whatever you want to call it, when it's a fastball and it's a changeup and an evolving curveball as your arsenal?
There's definitely an intensity that's going on, but I think the hitters are feeling it as much as he is, just because of the great equalizer, which is his changeup. Yeah, there's been a lot of traffic out there. There has really been all series long. For Richards, about making pitches. He's in the same position Roark's in. When he was facing Dietrich. He does have a base open, so he's looking to make his best pitcher's pitch.
Bases are loaded for Daniel Murphy.
Treat your family and friends to an unforgettable on-field experience at Marlins Park. Grab your glove and play catch on the field on Sunday, July 15th, before the Marlins host the Phillies. Event packages for Play Catch Day include 2 tickets, 2 all-you-can-eat wristbands. Proceeds benefit the Marlins Foundation. To reserve a spot on the field, visit marlins.com/playkatch.
Here, Daniel Murphy had an RBI single in the second inning. He's got the bases loaded and 1 out here in the third. They check over at third, but no swing. Grace up in the Nationals bullpen. Strike to Murphy.
Now that's one thing Richards has been able to do this afternoon to a couple of tough lefties. Dial up a couple of inside corner fastballs, a little tailing action on the 2-seamer.
Again, they check and no swing. 2-1.
Well, I certainly understand there's been a lot of traffic out there, but even just the reaction of so many of these hitters to that changeup tells you how effective it can be, even when they know it's coming. Just about every take is a check swing. These mechanics are a big reason why.
Sent out to left field. Dietrich trying to get ahead of steam to get something behind the throw. But Soto will score on the sacrifice fly from Murphy, and the Nationals are within a run.
Yeah, this is a changeup as well. Murphy just able to keep the hands back and get the fly ball that he, in some regards, was looking for. Long enough to get it done.
Now first and second, 2 out for Spencer Keyboom. Had one of those 3 consecutive singles in the second inning. Jumped on the first pitch last time, does so here too, pops it up. Bohr battling with the sun in foul ground, doesn't see it. Richards is over, but that will fall in foul territory. Bohr didn't see that one off the bat. He was looking into the sun and was still about 20 feet away from it, as there is not a cloud in the sky to give any sort of relief on a fly ball.
And he saw his first initial move in, then back. He has no chance of catching something he can't see. Never picked it up. And Trevor did everything in his power to try to get into position to even have an effort. This is frustrating. It should be out number 3.
Instead, strike 1 to Keyboom. Keyboom gets the start today, despite the fact that his backstop counterpart, Pedro Severino, hit a home run in yesterday's ball game. Nationals have been looking for something, anything, out of their catchers offensively this year. They signed Matt Wieters to a deal a couple of years ago. He's on the 10-day DL right now. Hamstring strain. Hope to get him back in at some point in July, maybe around or after the All-Star break. 3-1 now to Keyboom. The leadoff walks have come around to score in each of the last 2 innings against Richards. And now Keyboom lines one out to left field. Dietrich on the track is able to make the catch and then slams into the wall. He's up and will jog off under his own power. 3-2 after 3. Thanks in part to Derek Dietrich out in left field. Spencer Keyboom put a charge into it. Dietrich back and then makes the catch, slams into the wall. That's the Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day.
Well, as it should be. Tremendous effort from Double D in left field. He's becoming more and more confident as the season has gone on. He knew he was running into that wall hard. Sold out for the catch, made the catch. Had us concerned for about 10-15 seconds as he was laying on his back, but then bounced back up.
It'll be JT Realmuto, Justin Bohr, and Starlin Castro here in the 4th.
Speaking from experience, the wall always wins.
That's right.
I never defeated the wall, ever.
Yep.
The only person I've ever seen defeat the wall was Turner Ward in Pittsburgh, and it just happened one time. Only he beat it. Everybody else, trouble.
Yeah. On the ground to second, Murphy. Up with it, but Real Muto beats it out. That grade A speed of JT Real Muto, an infield single to lead off the fourth.
That should be his third hit of the game. The Nationals slightly shifted to the pull side, so Murphy had to make his way over. But I'm telling you, he got out of the box quick and closed even quicker. I call that smelling a hit right there. No need for even review.
Well, he already had his 21st multi-hit game of the year, but now his 9th 3-hit game of the year. Here we are in the fourth inning, and he just continues to hit here at Nationals Park. Now Justin Bohr, right back to the screen. Bohr today a base hit in the first inning, walked in the second.
Marlins leadoff batter on in every inning this afternoon, but have only scored in one inning. The second, all three of their runs.
But set up nicely here with, of course, Bohr at the plate now. Castro, who despite 2 strikeouts today has been as hot as anybody the last couple of weeks. Martin Prado, who's got 2 hits. So if you'd like to stop the momentum of the Nationals, whether it's in the series or in the game, as they have scored 1 in each of the last 2 innings, you got to put some runs on the board here in the fourth.
This is a big pitch. 1-1. My goodness. That's a bad miss. That's a missed call right there. That puts JEB in the hole. 1-2.
Is that the pitch, the 1-1 pitch that doesn't go your way? Is that the one that really upsets you the most?
Well, it changes all the dynamics of the at bat, because now all of a sudden you're on the ropes. You go from being in the driver's seat to the ropes. It's the biggest extreme pitch that you have in any sequence. When you follow along, I mean, if you're obviously 0-1 to 0-2 would certainly qualify, but you're already down in the count. 1-1, you still see it as a favorable hitter's count in your mind. If it goes to 2-1, you're really loving where you're at. If you go to 1-2, completely changes your offensive approach.
And strike 3 on the inside corner. Or wondering just how wide is the plate today. That looked like it got the corner, but the thing is, as you say it all the time, you can't cover both corners like that.
And that's, I think, what he's frustrated about. The first was a changeup that was way off that outside edge that he feels like he's covering, that maybe he'll get a little bit more leeway inside, and so now he feels like he's giving him some leeway on both edges. It's definitely a frustrating at bat for the big guy.
So here's Starlin Castro as they check on JT over at first. For 2 today for Starlin, but that average creeping up toward 300. 6 homers, 33 RBIs this year for him. And the runner goes through a vacated right side, a base hit for Castro. So the Marlins start the runner and now have first and third with 1 out.
Yeah, I tell you, heat Starlin back up. That is great game planning right there. I'll tell you what, by the Marlins, and here's why. All right, we talked to Starlin Castro is hot as a firecracker, right? Well, the first 2 at-bats end in strikeouts. He's the one that's really struggled with Roark the most, getting to the curveball. He hasn't handled his curveball so well. So what do? You put Starlin in a position where he has to swing the bat early in the count. Doesn't have to get down to the 2-strike situation. Comes up, as again, sprays it so well. Shoots one through the right side.
It's up to a 7-game hit streak now for Castro. Here's Prado.
Worth mentioning once again now that Martin Prado is back in the batter's box. He came in boasting the best numbers against Roark in the lineup today. 2 hits already.
He's got 1 home run this year, and that came on Thursday night. A 3-run home run down the left field line, about a third of the way up the foul pole. And he is up with 2 men on again here right now. That's a strike, 2-2. The Nationals have had Grace up. Watched every pitch he's thrown, but I'd say for the last 20 minutes or so, you got to figure he's pretty warm down there. And this will be number 94 today for Roark, who has really battled through the afternoon. He's given up the 3 runs, all of which came in the 2nd inning, but 9 hits. He's been able to limit the damage because the Marlins have left 8 runners on base in the first 3 innings. Outside corner for strike 3.
We're able to get to the slider. It's a pitcher's pitch. Too close to take. I'll tell you what, between Roark and Richards, this score could look so much different than it does. There's been tons of traffic on the bases. Some real missed opportunities for both teams.
I mean, these 2 pitchers have been like the Walendas today, walking tight ropes like crazy. These 2 teams have combined to leave 14 runners on base. We're in the 3rd inning of the 4th inning. Here's JT Riddle now, 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. He takes ball 1.
Well, I'm guessing this will be Roark's last inning. Either way you look at it. Grace up in the bullpen, his spot up 2nd in the bottom of the 4th. He is clearly labored this afternoon.
Riddle, right field, and that one's going to get down for a base hit. Real Muto will score easily. To 3rd goes Castro, and it's another hit for JT Riddle, his 2nd of the day, and the Marlins have a 4-2 lead.
I'll tell you what, over the last 10 games, and we told you the numbers a little bit earlier, that one thing that's been so impressive to me is really not just how he's handled the ball away, but how about the ball in. He is really doing a nice job pulling his hands in. You see it there on that swing. It's about cutting the ball off. It's not extension, just being short and quick through the baseball, and he's been pulling a number of base hits to right.
.344 in his last 8 games. You'll recall he hit .346 before being called up from New Orleans. So that bat getting right back to where it was before he got back up to the big leagues, and he has come through again today. A strike to Cameron Maben. Now for Riddle, his 9th multi-hit game of the year. He's reached base all 3 times, and Cameron Maben got all the scoring started in the 2nd inning with an RBI single of his own. 2-1. Even 100 pitches for Roark.
Already?
All of it. I know. Feels like we just started.
I'll tell you what, the Marlins can offensively, they'll grind on some guys, won't they? We've certainly noticed that about them. Their offensive approach throughout the first half certainly benefits the cause. We talk about getting starters out of the game early.
Q shot up the first base line. Foul. 2-2. The RBI single in the 2nd for Maben to extend it to a 5-game hit streak. And then the walk in his 2nd plate appearance.
Well, to prove my point on what I just mentioned about the Marlins and grinding out at bats, how about coming into today 5th in Major League Baseball, 13,549 pitches seen. Hanging out with the Boston Red Sox and the Dodgers.
Maben chases outside, and the inning is over. But a JT Riddle RBI as the Marlins back in front by 2 through 3.5. Low fares, nothing to hide by Cleveland Clinic. Come out and join us for our community grand opening event on July 21st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. For more information, visit clevelandclinic.org/Coral Springs. And by La Lechonera, the original mojo since 1970. Derek Dietrich to lead things off. Or Derek Dietrich rather in left as Michael A. Taylor leads things off. And pinch hits for Tanner Roark here in the 4th inning. A couple of hits and 3 runs scored in this series. As Roark battled through the first 4 innings of this ball game. And now figures to be Matt Grace out of the Nationals pen when this bottom of the 4th inning is over.
Taylor 2 for 9 pitch hitting this season.
Here's the 1-1. This is low and in. Well, over his last 29 games, he has certainly been hot, hitting .342, 5 doubles, a home run, 10 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases. 3-1. And his 23 steals are tied for the most in the major leagues. So you'd love to keep him off the bases to lead off the 4th, but leadoff hitters abound in this game as Taylor works the walk to lead off the inning.
Are you ready for storm season? We are. See how you can prepare at fpl.com/storm.
So that's the 5th walk today for Trevor Richards, and 3 of them have led off innings. The 2nd, the 3rd, and now the 4th. And the first 2 came around to score. Here's Adam Eaton. Again, 5 walks today for Richards, but since coming back, in fact, since going down to AAA after that start against the Dodgers in late April, and since coming back, the walks have really been under control. But today has not been the case.
Now, part of it is the large number of changeups he's had to throw in this afternoon's ball game. He is bending but not breaking. There you go, 39 strikes, 33 balls. And again, so much of that because of that high number of changeups.
Upstairs, 2-1. Again, walks have been the issue in this series for the Miami Marlins. They issued 8 walks on Thursday night, a 14-12 loss to the Nationals. 5 walks in the walk-off loss on Friday night, as Eaton fouls this one off down the left field line. And then yesterday, 4 walks. It was a day in which the Nationals put 18 runs on the board. Eaton today, a ground ball to Bohr and a pop-up on the infield.
Well, for the most part, in regards to Richards, who's another deep count now at 3-2, the issue hasn't been the changeup. It's more about the fastball command over the last couple of innings. He's gotten into some spots where he needs that fastball near the zone. He's been able to do it.
After the 6th walk today, out to the mound goes the pitching coach Juan Nieves. This 4-game road trip ends today, and the final homestand of the unofficial first half of the season kicks off tomorrow. The Milwaukee Brewers in town. The Brewers are currently in front of the Braves right now, 5-0 in the bottom of the 3rd at Miller Park. The South Florida Honda dealers have the Marlins Live pregame show. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson get you set for the 6-game homestand to lead us into the All-Star break. Jose Urena and Chase Anderson, the 2 starters. It's the Brewers for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday an off day. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Philadelphia Phillies come to town. And then it's the All-Star break. Prado in on the grass at third. First and second, nobody out. The pitch to Turner. Fouled straight back, 0-1. Inside to Turner, just missed that front left knee. 1-1. Next one will be number 80 today for Richards. Squared to bunt, but pulled it back, and it's 2-1. Of course, Turner, a big part of the game on Thursday, in which the Nationals came back from a 9-0 deficit to win the game. And they walked off the Marlins on Friday and then put 18 runs on the board in what was a end of the night. You look at an 18-4 score, you think a pretty uncompetitive game. But the middle innings, it was 3-3 at some point yesterday. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is Drew Rosinski loosens in the Marlins pen is that these 3 games have been painful for many different reasons for the Miami Marlins as they try to snap a 14-game losing streak against the Nats. Turner pops this one up into the seats, 3-2. And if you go back to Thursday and yesterday, brings us to our Toyota Inside Look. Since the RBI became a official statistic in 1920, it's the first time that a team had 2 players with 8 or more RBIs in a game in the same series. And the first time since 1960 in the National League that 2 different players had 8 RBIs in the same season. Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda. And a big strikeout of Turner for the first out here in the 4th.
Well, maybe his best fastball in the last 2 innings. Bend, but don't break. Tip your cap so far to Trevor Richards, I'll tell you. This lineup is rolling right now for the Nationals. He's made some pitches kind of backed against the wall. As I said, best fastball maybe of the afternoon.
Well, he struck out Turner 3 times today. Twice on the changeup and once on the fastball.
Yeah, a little back and forth. One of those changeups inside that fastball away.
Upstairs to Juan Soto. Turner struck out 3 times today. Soto has walked twice today. Once in the first, once in the third, and came around to score in the 3rd inning. I remember we used to say this, or at least I did, about Bryce Harper back when he was still a lot younger. He didn't look like he was a 19 or 20-year-old. Soto doesn't look like he's 19 or 20 years old. He's built like a man.
Well, he certainly has a fantastic strike zone. It's the thing that's impressed so many people around baseball so far. And he's done an incredible job in such a short time of earning the respect of that strike zone, knowing that strike zone, that's his. He's so disciplined. He's not going to expand. How many borderline pitches have we seen just this series alone him take? I mean, you could argue right there that's a good take. You say, oh, well, it's a 2-0 pitch. Well, it's a changeup. He wasn't looking for it. He's probably thinking a little bit more fastball, but that's how this young man operates.
And Bohr makes the play at first. Gets up, gets it to Richards, who gets to the bag just in time. Nice play by Bohr over at first. Two on and two out for Bryce Harper. Kind of broke things down a little bit in our Toyota trend. The Nationals record when he has a hit, they're 30-16. When he doesn't have a hit, they're 9 games under 500. When he walks and scores, they're 11-3. He's just been intentionally walked. Let's hope he doesn't score.
Wow. This is I mean, a big pat on the back. I know it creates a force at any base, but look who's stepping into the box. All right, there you go. Well, that was part of the game plan. I guess I really hadn't considered Richards coming out of the ball game at that point, but there you go. That makes all the sense now. You put Harper on first base and you're going to get a fresh arm.
An intentional walk, the 7th of the afternoon for Richards, who is done as we make the Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here in D.C. Bottom of the 4th inning with a couple out. Call to the bullpen here. The new Monopoly jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Well, Drew Ruzinski in out of the bullpen, and he has got himself quite a conundrum here. The bases are loaded, and there's nowhere to put Babe Ruth. I mean, Mark Reynolds, who is 7 for his last 7 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. But this is why you go to him. He has stranded the last 6, in fact, all 6 inherited runners that he has picked up this season. So he'll hope to do that against, at least in terms of the last 72 hours, the hottest guy in baseball, Mark Reynolds.
Rucinski has done a fantastic job when he enters the ball game. Part of that is the inherited runners. Part of that is dominating right-handed hitters. Right, he's only hitting 154 against him. And in that first inning, hitters just 3 for 33 with 1 extra base hit. So this is the idea. You play to your strong numbers, which is Rucinski into the ball game, even with the bases loaded.
Taylor at third, Eaton at second, and Harper at first. Marlins with a 2-run lead. Here's the pitch to Reynolds. Cut on and missed, 0-1.
Rucinski fastball slider split. Splitting about 85 miles an hour, 85, 86. see, thanks to preset it.
And Reynolds grounds to short. Riddle gets it to Castro. And how about the job by Drew Rosinski? Gets the ground ball to leave him loaded. We're through 4.
Its franchise, and here at Nationals Park, that location is the home plate entrance. And since the Midsummer Classic is rapidly approaching, how about an All-Star game fun fact? Washington hosted its first ever Major League All-Star game back in 1937. Guys, the city would also host All-Star games in 56, 62, and 69, and they're also going to be able to add 2018 to that list.
Yeah, coming up a little more than a week from now. Jessica, thanks so much. This place is going to be jam-packed and certainly full of excitement as Matt Grace takes over. His 24th game this season. He'll face a pinch hitter, Miguel Rojas. So Rosinski comes in, bases loaded, and a guy who's, I mean, you can't touch him. You burn your fingerprints right off. That's how hot Mark Reynolds has been, and he gets him to ground out to shortstop to get out of the jam. And now these two teams have left 19 runners on base as Rojas gets a base hit up the middle. A broken bat knock to start the 5th. But anyway, great job by Rosinski.
Second pitch hit of the season for Rojas. 2 for 6. I'll tell you what, the Marlins keep the string of leadoff runners on. We are now in the 5th. They have had the leadoff runner on in every inning today.
Derek Dietrich takes ball 1. Dietrich hit by a pitch twice and walked once against Tanner Roark, who went 4 innings today, 10 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Dietrich pops this one up behind home plate. Keyboom with room for the first out. Here's Brian Anderson. 0 for 3 today. A couple of ground outs and a pop-up. All against Roark. And he takes strike 1 from Grace, who last pitched on the 4th of July for the Nationals. 4 innings out of the bullpen that day. There's a game that Eric Fetty, who is now on the disabled list, left after 1 inning of work with shoulder inflammation. So Grace has been used at times as a long man, and even though this game is already 2 hours old, we're only in the top of the 5th. There's a lot left.
Now for Grace, he's got the ability to get the ball on the ground. And that's like about him. You see a fly ball to right. Going for his heavy sinking fastball. There's a slider as well.
Conley up for the Marlins in their bullpen. Brzezinski was pinch hit for, so they'll need somebody to pitch the bottom of the 5th inning. Here's JT Realmuto. 3 hits today, a 2 RBI single in the 2nd, and a run scored in the 4th as he takes low. Six hits in the series. This one is popped up right side. Eaton again battling the sun. And down to his knee to make the catch to end the 5th. We head to the last of the 5th inning here in D.C. The bottom of the 5th inning. Well, catch the FIFA World Cup semifinals on Fox. Pogba and teen sensation Mbappe lead France against Lukaku and Belgium. Coverage begins Tuesday at 1 p.m. on Fox, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app.
Who is that that's leading France again? I'm sorry.
I believe it was Mbappe.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Mbappe.
Yeah, who's the #1 guy for Belgium?
Lukaku.
Right.
Yeah. You'll be up early to watch that.
Right.
Oh, you don't even have to get up that early.
1 p.m.
It's right before your nap.
It's right before I get up.
1 p.m.
Just kidding.
Adam Conley in the ball game for the 21st time this year. He'll face Matt Adams, Daniel Murphy, and Spencer Keyboom.
Now Conley definitely looking for a little payback. He had been on an impressive run to start the season. ERA at 3.66, basically the result of game a couple days ago, right here in D.C. Adam got knocked around a little bit, 2/3 of an inning, couple of hits, didn't have his command, 4 walks, 5 earned runs.
Swung on and missed by Adams, and it's 1-2. Adams with a base hit in the second and a walk in the third. Adams has had a nice series as well, 7 for 12, but this one grounded to Castro. I checked that. That was Prado on the right side of the infield to make the play for the first out. So that's a 5-3 in the scorecard with a little S next to it. Is that your system? Do we have the same system?
Correct. 5-3-S. Shift.
Yeah.
There you go. And Daniel Murphy, a sacrifice fly his last time up, RBI single in the second.
Chopped to Bohr, and Conley covers the bag, 2 away. I'll tell you what, both starting pitchers in this game, they really had to fight through it. Richards, 3 2/3, 7 walks, 5 strikeouts, just the 2 runs. That's the column that matters the most, right? The Nationals, Roark, 4 innings, 10 hits, 3 walks, 4 runs. He was up over 100 pitches. And there have been 20 men left on base. Here there are 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. I mean, both guys really having to navigate a lot of traffic this afternoon.
Well, there's no doubt. They both made some pitches when they had to, and both at the same time were kind of battling that season-long story that has been, who they are, how they identify. We mentioned early on, Roark struggling coming in. Nationals hadn't won a Roark start in over a month. 3-10, 10 losses. That speaks to something, right? How about the last start? 7 innings, 10 hits, 9 earned runs. What the Marlins do? Forced him into the zone. They put together some good at-bats, drove that pitch count up. Yeah, they missed on some opportunities. On the flip side of it, what do we talk about Richards? Still trying to figure out that perfect set of sequencing to help that changeup at the end. Fastball command clearly wasn't there. It was there early, but this is a tough one for me to even to answer, Paul. When a guy throws as many changeups as he did, can you lose your fastball command? And I really think that was the case. Early on, that fastball command was good for Richards, but it started to kind of get away from him. But it also kind of correlated with that period in the game where he was using that changeup. Honestly, the most we've ever really seen him use it.
Keyboom swings and misses, and that'll do it here in the 5th. A 1-2-3 inning. The first by a Marlins pitcher today. 4-2 through 5.
video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
4-2 here in the top of the 6th inning between the Marlins and the Nationals. Last of this 4-game set. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Colton Hawk of the Greensboro Grasshoppers. 21 games this year, a .277 ERA, 52 strikeouts in 52 innings pitched. A 4th-round pick out of Stanford in 2017. Greensboro, 42 and 43. Jose Devers, 2 for 4. He's got hits in 5 of his last 6 games. Of course, speaking of all the all-star festivities, Guzman going to be representing the Marlins next week, next Sunday night, here in the Futures game. As Justin Bour leads things off against Matt Grace here in the 6th. Bour, Castro, Prado.
Well, we've made strides. The bottom of the 5th was the first half inning in which no runners were left on base.
Amazing.
It really is when you add up what we've seen this afternoon. All right, leadoff man for the Marlins, 5 for 5 today.
Hurry up down the line, JB.
Yep, 5 for 6.
See, you jinxed it.
I don't know if I did.
Yeah, it was all you.
Well, kind of what I would.
You disturbed him from a good swing right there.
You think he heard me?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. Well, really what I was getting at is because it's been a complicated afternoon really for the offense. I know the Marlins are up 4-2. They've missed on a lot of opportunities. The point is this, and I know we talk about this. In fact, we talk about it statistically an awful lot, that leadoff man getting on. Well, the number 2 hitter for the Marlins, 4 for 5, following up the leadoff guy getting on every inning. So it hasn't been like, just, a clean rhythm that they're getting into. Get a guy on, move a guy up, or have a productive at bat that second time. It hasn't happened that way. In fact, that's the escape hatch for the Nationals. That's what they've been able to do.
Castro, no swing, 2 balls and no strikes. Well, Starlin struck out his first 2 at-bats today, but then a base hit in the 4th to extend it to a 7-game hit streak. Now takes low, 3 balls and no strikes. Well, this is what's funny about it, right? Like, you can't make assessments by just looking at the final scores or just looking at who wins games. I'll finish that point after the 3-1 to Castro. Oh, of course, another base hit. Well, he's hitting .500 over his last 2 weeks, so why isn't he 2 for 4?
Well,
makes all the sense in the world.
Well, what does make sense is you see what just happened there, right? So I made a big deal about the Marlins being 5 for 5 and the number 2 hitter not getting on. What did the number 2 hitter just do?
He got on.
Well, there you go. There's your payback.
Base hit up the middle for Castro. So what I was going to say was, let's just say the score holds, right? It's 4-2, so let's say the Marlins get this win. So they get out of town, they lost 3 of 4, right? You think, oh, the Nationals just beat them to a pulp. Well, the Marlins had a 9-0 lead the other night. Yeah, it's not the greatest way to lose a game, but they still scored 12 runs, which was a season high. So there was that. They took him to the brink in the 9th inning in the 2nd game of the series. Last night, they fought back against Max Scherzer to tie it on 2 occasions. And then today, they made Roark throw over 100 pitches in 4 innings of work. They've put 12 hits on the board. They've put 13 hits on the board. So it's like, what I'm saying, you're going to look at it and say, well, best case scenario, Nationals take 3 out of 4. They didn't belong in the series. It hasn't been the case at all. Just the final scores haven't gone their way. What a day for Prado, though. 3 hits.
Good signs. Obviously, the home run in game 1 of this series, 3 hits today. Good signs coming back off the disabled list.
His second 3-hit game of the year. And that's good for Martin because we talked about this the other day. When he went on the DL, he had been struggling for a little while and finally started to put something together. And then, boom, the hamstring got him again. So, in a sense, picking up where he left off. And now JT Riddle takes it low.
As I mentioned, sinker slider from Grace. Riddle hot. Stay on that pitch away. Doing a very, very good job handling the lefties and righties over the last 2 weeks or so.
One to Riddle is popped up. Infield fly rule, but it'll be Turner. For the second out here in the 6th. That'll bring up Cameron Maben, who got the scoring started this afternoon with an RBI single in the 2nd inning.
3 for 11 in the series. On base twice today. I mentioned that RBI single. Obviously, the walk to go along with it. Good numbers against the lefties this year. This is kind of that secret spot where you're like, Maben has done a really nice job against the lefties. You got a lefty out of the Nats bullpen. Love to see a huge 2-out hit right here. Marlins, 3 of their 4 runs have come with 2 outs.
Garrett Cooper in the on-deck circle with the pitcher spot due up next. Oh, 0-2. Maybe down the right field line, but foul. On the inside corner for a called strike 3. Another couple stranded for Miami. 4-2. The Miami Marlins with a 4-2 lead going to the home half of the 6th inning. On a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in the All-Star City. Geico presents this day in Marlins history. Moises Alou, Kevin Brown, and Charles Johnson in 1997 representing the Marlins at the All-Star game in Cleveland. A low-scoring affair.
Who knew?
Who knew it, right? 3-1. And of course, those guys will be back in Cleveland in October.
Well, that's what I was getting at right there.
Oh,
who knew the precursor?
I thought you meant who knew there could be a low-scoring All-Star game.
No, well, that too. But going to Cleveland, and we were just here.
Get a lay of the land,
That's
kind
right.
of.
That's right.
Wilmer Defoe out to pinch hit in the pitcher's spot. So 9-1-2 due up for the Nationals, down a couple. After Defoe, it's Eaton and Turner against Adam Conley in his 2nd inning of work. Defoe squared, pulled it back, and is ahead in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, Conley pitched the 5th inning, the only 1-2-3 inning on either side to this point. Strike 2.
Yeah, that's the qualifier moving forward for the rest of the game. If you can get 3 outs and leave nobody on base, you get to go back out for another inning.
Right. It's like you homer one day, you're playing the next day.
Well, it's a little bit of a tryout going on. Well, who doesn't expect this? I talk about it all the time. Although I would have really believed that the offensive outbursts would have built towards today as you really familiarize yourself with another team in a 4-game series. When you see what happened on Thursday and then the stories that have followed after, I got to be honest, I'm not really surprised at that. You get to know each other so well. The bullpen arms, the at-bats, the rhythm, the timing, everything starts to fall into place.
Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts over the last couple of innings for Conley.
Well, I'll tell you what, good for Adam Conley. So far, so good. I know his history in this ballpark is not particularly good or against this organization, but getting 4 outs today after what happened the other day, the 4 walks, the lack of command and control, the trust that Don Mattingly placed in him to go back out and give him big outs with a lead.
Adam Eaton just about jumps out of the batter's box to offer it strike 1. Well, we oftentimes talk about, the stoppers being the starters, but sometimes, and this might be that situation, as Eaton taps that one foul. Conley's got to be something of a starter here. Stop whatever momentum the Nationals have had. Now, some of that momentum today was just the walks for Richards, but they've had chances. They've got 9 men left on base today. They're down by 2. I mean, it goes without saying this team can erase a deficit. So if Conley can go out there and just start to eat up outs and give, and that's not to say he's going to throw 6 innings today, but just give the Nationals some sense of no hope. He struck out the last 3, then that could go a long way.
Oh, and he's doing it in a quick fashion too. 3 pitches, my goodness. 5 outs on 21 pitches.
Now Trey Turner.
I'll tell you what, Conley's got a pretty good slider working today. Four-seam fastball, slider to Eaton. Talked about this quite a bit. He's made his way back to the big leagues, and the importance of that slider. Of course, the changeup a great pitch. The willingness to go there has benefited Conley this afternoon.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch to Turner down the left field line, foul. Inside. The count runs full. Just got a piece. Turner has been struck out 3 times today, all by Richards. Now 3 balls and 2 strikes again after Conley steps off. That one to the backstop, and Realmuto throws to first, not in time. Strikeout and a wild pitch will extend this inning.
Let's take another look. Really good slider right there. Turner fooled by it. Strikeout number 4 on the afternoon. It gets away from JT. Makes his way down to first. It's that throw by just a step.
It'll be a strikeout and a passed ball. But that simply bookkeeping at this point. It's going to be a 4-out inning for the Nationals. Soto today, a couple of walks and a ground out, but he did come around to score in the 3rd. No swing. 1-0. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Soto. Lined out to center field. Maben is there for the final out of the 6th inning. Marlins up 4-2. Welcome back. 4-2 the score as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Justin Miller in for the Nationals. Marlins trying to get out of the nation's capital with at least one win in this 4-game set. Miller out for the 20th time this year, his 6th win out of the, or 5 wins rather, out of the bullpen. Opponent sitting a little over 200 against him. He'll face Yadiel Rivera, then Derek Dietrich and Brian Anderson. Again, a belated congratulations to Yadiel Rivera, who yesterday, in a game that was exclusively on Fox, connected on his first career home run. It's also his first career start in center field.
You know, it's more important than all that. What he'll always remember, who he did it against.
That's right. Mad Max Scherzer.
You see that? Hey, kids, you see that guy right there? Yeah, he's standing up there at the podium getting ready to go in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's right. Dad took him deep.
That one in there for a called strike, a little beneath the zone, but another look at his first career homer.
Good extension there. Off-speed pitch, changeup up in the zone. And great swing, big moment for Yadi.
Here's the 0-2 pitch from Miller, misses low.
Yadi's done a pretty good job pinch hitting this season, 5 for 20. Little RBIs.
He must have been feeling good yesterday, because I think it was maybe his first or second at bat yesterday against Scherzer. He was taking some big old cuts, and Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Verducci calling the game on Fox yesterday. Certainly a terrific job. They said, you know, take it easy. It's Max Scherzer. He's trying to put the bat on the ball. I think he had plans last night.
Set him up.
That's right.
Swung big early, looked soft late, got himself his first home run.
Steckenrider up. He of the longest scoreless streak in the majors right now. And Rivera fights it off.
Now Miller, fastball slider, uses his four-seamer about 70% of the time. Throws hard, 94, 95 miles an hour. Slider sits in at about 87.
Miller set to deliver a 1-2 up the middle, a base hit for Yadiel Rivera. Well, he's not getting consistent at-bats, but the at-bats that he gets, he's doing his best to make them count.
A professional at-bat takes the 87-mile-an-hour slider and goes the other way after fouling off a couple of tough ones. And looky here, leadoff man on again.
Here's Dietrich now. Dietrich hit by a pitch in his first and second plate appearance. Walked in the third inning. That's how the Marlins were going early in this ballgame. He had 3 trips to the plate in the first 3 innings. Also popped up behind home plate in the 5th. Left side foul. Well, 14 hits for the Marlins today. They still have 9 offensive outs to work with. 3 off the single game mark this year. 17 hits against the St. Louis Cardinals. earlier in June, a little more than a month ago. Rivera goes. Pitch low and in, and it'll be a stolen base.
Now he got a fantastic jump. Miller long to the plate. You see the complicated delivery that he's got. He's so tied up and so closed off on that front side that you get a good jump. He certainly did. No throw. There's a pretty good look at it. You see Miller almost looking at Yachty at second.
And a base hit through the right side for Dietrich. Around third, here's Rivera. Throw from left is not in time. It's an RBI for Derek Dietrich. And it's 5-2 Marlins.
Well, Dietrich on base for the 4th time this afternoon. Put together a nice at-bat. Drives one through the right side. Jumps all over this fastball. Middle. Just above the knees. Good to see the Marlins not backing off. Well, you and I both know after what we've seen in this series, and certainly when you lose as much as the Marlins have been losing to the Nationals, and this is even going back to last year, you are going to have to play a complete game from start to finish to finally get over the top. You mentioned it a number of times early on that Marlins have been in just about every one of these games in some way. Look at the final score of a couple of them. A little bit misleading. Once again, out in front here in Game 4.
Back to the screen. 95 off the inside edge to Anderson. He's 0 for 4 today. Coming off his first day off of the year last night. He's the only rookie to have played in all of his team's games leading up to yesterday. Two and one. Now part of that has been his productivity, which has been phenomenal. He's hitting .281 with 6 homers and 44 RBIs. Part of that had also likely been, I'm sure the skipper would have liked to give him a day off here or there just to keep him kind of fresh, especially in this 20-game stretch that the Marlins are in, which will wrap up after the final game of the series against the Brewers, and then finally a day off for the first time since the day off in Colorado more than 2 weeks ago. But now you got Prado back. You got Garrett Cooper back. Cooper can play some right field, of course. Prado is at third, so those are the two positions that Anderson's been playing. And that's why it's so hard to take him out, because he just keeps getting hits. Number 16 today for the Marlins. 2 on, nobody out in the 7th.
Are you ready for storm season? We are. See how you can prepare at fpl.com/storm.
Well, 3 consecutive base hits to start this 7th inning. All 3 of them hit hard. Speaking of 3 hits, here's JT Realmuto looking for number 4. 3 hits on the afternoon. Batting average up to .312 on the season.
Five times this year, a Marlin has had 4 hits in a game. The last one was Derek Dietrich in Colorado. He was a triple shy of the cycle. It's been 3 singles today for JT. and we've been doing our best, whatever we can do, to drum up some attention for him to get to the All-Star game. He might already know. I'm assuming he knows one way or the other if he's going to the All-Star game. The official announcement of the roster's not until about 7 o'clock tonight. He may already know. We have no idea. If it were up to us, he'd be starting here in D.C. in a couple of weeks. Up the middle, and that one gets past Turner and into center field. Dietrich will come around to score. Harper overran it in center, but Anderson was already at third, and it's 6-2 Miami.
Well, the hits just keep on coming for this Marlins lineup. 95-mile-an-hour fastball at the knees away. JT once again drives it right back up the middle. Hit number 4, RBI number 3 this afternoon. Nats bullpen hardly stirring.
"17 hits for the Marlins today, and that ties a single-game season high. All of their hits have been singles. Four of them by that man. And one from JB back in the first inning. Big swing and a miss, 0-1. Also walked in the second, struck out in the fourth. And grounded out to first base in the 6th inning. Marlins scored 3 in the second, 1 in the fourth, and 2 so far here in the 7th. 2 in, 2 on, and still nobody out. Miller gets the strikeout of Bohr for the first out here in the 7th. So it's Starlin Castro, who struck out in his first 2 trips, but then 2 singles. Kind of keep up the pace that he's been going on recently, hitting about 500 the last 2 weeks. Runner goes. Throw down to second, and Real Muto getting caught in a rundown to try to get Anderson to come in to score, and they get the tag on Real Muto for the second out of the inning.
Almost looks like this was quite intentional, obviously, with JT getting hung up between first and third. I have to admit, a bit surprising with Starlin Castro in the box. As hot as he has been. Nationals able to pick up an extra out here in the top of the 7th inning.
And called strike 3. Maybe a little off the edge to Castro, but the Marlins scored 2 more in the inning. lead it 6-2. In control here, 6-2 going to the last of the 7th inning. And it's time now for the Coors Light refreshing finish. Out of the pen, Adam Conley had 4 walks in an inning the other night, but boy, a different guy today.
And I'll tell you what, it's impressive. You add up all of that, and then, you know, listen, there's definitely some head traffic that goes with that. You know, your mind's running in a lot of different directions. You've not necessarily pitched well in this ballpark, and you get thrown back into the fire with a lead, and he comes in and protects a 2-run lead at the time. Just a fantastic effort there. That slider showed back up. Great stuff from Conley.
He hands it off to Drew Steckenrider in the ballgame for the 43rd time this season. ERA sits at 3.03, but that is not the whole story. Boy, oh boy. Longest active scoreless inning streak in the majors at 18 2/3 innings. This guy has been lights out.
He certainly has. One appearance in this series. A couple of days ago, an inning, 1 hit, a couple of walks, but able to get himself out of some trouble. It's time to play ball. Join us to celebrate your love of baseball during Play Ball Weekend from July 13th through July 15th when the Marlins take on the Phillies. Arrive early on Saturday, July 14th to take home a Play Baseball. Sunday the 15th to grab a Sandlot Ham Porter bobblehead. Visit marlins.com/giveaways to purchase your tickets.
He'll get the heart of the Nationals order, Harper, Reynolds, Adams, here in the 7th inning. Harper today, a strikeout in the 1st, flew out in the 3rd, and was intentionally walked in the 4th. That one misses. 2 balls and no strikes. To Harper now. There have been leadoff walks, a lot of leadoff base runners on both sides, but leadoff walks. The way that the Nationals scored their 2 runs in the 2nd and the 3rd. Both came around to score. And another leadoff walk here in the 7th.
Oh my goodness, last thing the Marlins certainly want to see there is, you know, free traffic. Been traffic on the bases all afternoon. 4-pitch walk to start the 7th.
So Mark Reynolds grounded out in his last at bat to snap a 7-for-7 that he had been rolling on from the walk-off home run through the 5-hit game last night and the double in the 3rd inning today. Swung on and missed, 1-1. So he had 5 hits last night. I think I misspoke before when I said the Marlins' last 4-hit game was Derek Dietrich in Colorado. That not entirely true. He was on the list, but the last was Starlin Castro against the Rays last week in Miami. How could I forget? Castro's had 6,000 hits the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's kind of successfully covered up a 4-hit game.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ball and 2 strikes now to Reynolds with Harper off of first. Right back to the screen. Still 1-2. Reynolds 0 for 2 against Steckenrider in his career. Now the 1-2 pitch. That's why 3 men on the shortstop side of the second base bag against Reynolds. Full count.
Steckenrider fastball slider. Likes to use that fastball the most. 3 out of every 4 pitches, 76% of the time.
A called strike 3. Reynolds couldn't believe it, but that one got the black. 1 away.
Well, it's a good pitch. My goodness. It certainly is a little bit against what the setup was. And sometimes, as I told you, Marlin fans, you watch hitters. Generally, we feel those catchers, you know, where they're setting up. And when a guy sets up away and you miss back to the inside corner, it's still a strike. That's what got Reynolds right there. Saw JT, probably felt JT kind of pop out to that outside corner a little bit.
Matt Adams at the first pitch, popped up. Center field, this is going to be Maben for the second out in the inning. Murphy's driven in both runs for the Nationals today. An RBI single in the second, a sac fly in the third. Of course, Daniel Murphy, a longtime New York Met. But hit .347 in his first year with the Nationals, .322 last year. And with the 1 for 2 today, he's got the average at 197. Finished second in the MVP vote a couple of years back behind Chris Bryant of the Chicago Cubs. That was on the heels of a 2015 postseason where Murphy just went off. Worked with hitting coach Kevin Long with the Mets. Murphy then left the Mets And now his hitting coach, Kevin Long. Bohr with the play at first, steps on the bag, and we are through 7. Couple of nice plays over at first base by JB. Takes a hit away from Murphy. 6-2.
Nationals Park. It's called the Bullpen, and it was an empty lot that was converted into a place for fans to come and hang before, during, or after a Nationals game. You can grab a drink, there are food trucks, even on occasion they have concerts at that stage right behind me. Guys, it's not nearly as crowded during a game, but it's definitely a spot that you have to make your way to before or after a game at Nationals Park.
Jessica, thanks. Well, I'll tell you what, if this game ever ends, and it's been going on for 3 hours already, we head into the plane back home. Wrap up the first half of the season, unofficially first half, with a 6-game homestand. But it does look like quite a place to hang out and watch games, no doubt about that. Brandon Kinsler in his 38th game this year for the Washington Nationals will face Martin Prado, JT Riddle, and Cameron Maben. A 6-2 lead for the Marlins. Prado today with 3 hits. All singles, in fact, for Prado. Actually, all 17 of the Marlins hits today are singles.
Just keep going with that, yeah.
And 22, in fact, is the most singles without an extra base hit since 1913. The Dodgers in 1988 had 22 singles in a game. But the all-important run column says it's 6-2. So for the Nationals, death by 1,000 paper cuts today.
Now the Marlins aren't done yet. 2 more cracks. And adding some more runs to this 4-run lead.
Kinsler brings the 1-2 pitch off the edge. Next up for the Marlins, the Milwaukee Brewers. They are currently in front of the Atlanta Braves 5-1 right now in the bottom of the 7th inning. This one is tapped barehanded by Kinsler, who makes the play to Adams for the first out here in the 8th. Well, if the Marlins can get one more hit, mean, they'll take it. They're not going to give it back. I get it. But 17 singles right now is a Marlins record. So adding to it. I'm sure they wouldn't shy away from an extra base hit, though.
Yeah, with one out in the 8th, that would be a good thing.
JT Riddle, left field line, but into the seats. Riddle's got 2 hits today. A run scored in the 2nd and an RBI in the 4th. And the Brewers next up. They're in front of the Braves right now. They made some roster moves today, so it figures we'll see Lorenzo Cain off the disabled list. But Ryan Braun and Manny Pena onto the DL. The New York Mets today had a tough one against the Tampa Bay Rays. Took them until the 7th inning to get their first base runner, I believe.
Nate Eovaldi actually perfect through 6 innings in that ball game.
Called strike 3 on Riddle, 2 away in the 8th.
That's the sinking fastball. A little higher than traditionally see, but a little bit more arm side run as it worked its way back towards the inner 3rd.
Two outs for Cameron Maben. Yeah, all of a sudden, we saw Nate Eovaldi last week. All of a sudden, Nate Eovaldi is turned into a hot commodity on the trade market. Hear his name everywhere.
Well, it seems about every 5th or 6th start he makes, he's either flirting with a no-hitter or a perfect game.
That's true.
Now, I know if you add it all up, I feel like you're talking about you're talking about somebody with a high 3, low 4 ERA. Another base hit for the Marlins. No surprise there. Multi-hit effort from Maben now. It's the 5th Marlin to have a multi-hit game. If you count the pinch hitters, we actually have 6. Pinch hitters have got a couple hits today as well.
It's all one grouping?
It's a group. The group of pinch hitters. Correct.
Yeah. Well, here's another one. Garrett Cooper. Yeah, Eovaldi's been good. Jay Happ's another name that's been out there among the starters. I think Cole Hamels' name gets thrown around here and there. It'll be interesting. 3 weeks or so until the trade deadline. Next time we're in Washington is, I believe it's about a month from now, more than a month from now. This team could look a little different. Not a lot. I mean, I can't imagine they'd make too many changes, but they might have some pieces. They brought in Kinsler last year along with Ryan Madsen and Sean Doolittle to shore up the bullpen. Brewers might look different, although that's the last time we'll see them is over the course of the next 3 days. Also see the Phillies on the homestand. Going into the All-Star break, the Phillies might be active at the trade deadline.
They should be. They're in it.
0-2 to Cooper, up and in. Cooper activated Friday night off the disabled list. Got his first couple of hits since coming off the DL the other night. Now we'll see a 1-2 pitch, which is outside. Maben off of first. Here's the 2-2 to Cooper. Just got a piece of that one. Pirates beat the Phillies today 4-1. Top of that National League East has been nip and tuck the last week or so. This one in on the hands on Cooper. A ground ball to second base, and Murphy makes the play. We head to the bottom of the 8th here in Washington, D.C. 6-2.
Inning home run derby mobile game is back with more competition, more challenge, and more dingers. The code All-Star to unlock exclusive All-Star gear at MLB.com/HRD game.
Brad Ziegler in to pitch the 8th inning. 43rd game for him this year. Ground ball specialist. We'll get the bottom of the Nationals order, or at least some of it. Keyboom, and then what looks like Brian Goodwin to pinch hit, and then the top of the order, Adam Eaton. Keyboom today, a base hit in the 2nd inning. And sent one all the way to the track in left. Back in the 3rd, Derek Dietrich able to make the catch and then slammed into the wall for the final out of that inning. He struck out to end the 5th. 0-2.
Now Ziegler, right man, right spot. He has been hot as anybody in the Marlins bullpen. 16 of his last 17 appearances have been scoreless. .50 ERA. One earned run over 18 innings. That was a solo home run. Here's what's more impressive, at least to me. Over the last 17 games, has allowed just 8 hits with 15 punch-outs.
Going through the scores, it has been feast or famine today. Detroit got shut out. The Mets got shut out. The Indians got shut out. Then you've got the Minnesota Twins, who are currently shutting out the Orioles, but that one's 10-0. It's been last night. You had Will Myers hitting 3 home runs in a losing effort for the San Diego Padres. in a game in which the Diamondbacks scored 20 runs. Kieboom strikes out for the first out here in the 8th inning.
86 miles an hour. Pretty good look at the sinker and the depth of the pitch. Starts out just above the knees, ends up below. Foul tipping just a bit. Big first out.
Here's Brian Goodwin to pinch hit. You had 3 homers in a game once, right?
I did.
You win that game, though, right?
Yep.
You imagine you're Will Myers. You have 3 home runs in a game, and you got to go to the clubhouse and talk to the media with, like, you know, a straight face. You can't smile because it's, you know, the whole, well, we lost, I can't be happy kind of thing.
Right.
That's tough.
Well, how about this? To your point, but to his defense, I suppose, in some way, they got blown out of that game. It wasn't like, you know, you kind of backed into a close ball game that just didn't go your way. He hit 3 home runs, and that game was really never close. The Diamondbacks were all over him early.
Absolutely.
So my point is that even as that developed, Ziegler picks up strikeout number 2. That, you know, the Myers game is, I mean, it was impressive too, by the way. Home run to left field, home run to center field, and a home run to right field. But whatever. You guys got blown out. Whatever.
But hang with him. Adam Eaton taps it foul. A couple of strikeouts in the inning here for Brad Ziegler. With a 4-run lead here in the 8th inning. 0-2 to Eaton. Eaton 0 for 3 today. Struck out in his last at-bat in the 6th inning. That was one of 4 strikeouts for Adam Conley. And Ziegler strikes out the side in the 8th inning. Impressive work out of the pen for Ziegler as we go to the 9th in Washington, D.C. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Buy Kubota. For information or to find a Kubota dealer near you, go to gokubota.com and buy your South Florida Honda dealers. Well, no shortage of landmarks in this great city, Washington, D.C. There is the United States Capitol building. And there is the new right fielder, Brian Goodwin. Pinch hit. He'll stay in the game. Part of a double switch for the Washington Nationals, as Derek Dietrich will lead things off here in the 9th inning. A 6-2 lead. 18 hits today for the Marlins, a new season high, but also a new franchise record. All of those hits singles. There's Ryan Madson. His first pitch is in there for a called strike. Foul tip, 0-2. Dietrich hit by a pitch twice today, walked in the 3rd, and then popped up behind the plate and had an RBI single in the 7th inning. And the Marlins scored 2 insurance runs to double their lead from 4-2 to 6-2. Madsen, the 5th pitcher of the afternoon for the Nationals. It started with Tanner Roark, 4 innings, 10 hits, 4 runs, and 3 walks, had 5 strikeouts. Matt Grace worked the next 2 innings, gave up 3 hits, but no runs. Justin Miller worked the 7th, gave up a couple of runs. We just saw Kinsler in the 8th before Madsen here in the 9th.
Well, Madsen, 4-seam fastball, sinker, changeup, and curve. Changeup used to be a big part of his arsenal. Still a part of it, doesn't throw it nearly as much. Really goes to that curveball a lot more.
You know, as we get set for the Brewers, I understand there's unfinished business here, but as we get set for the Brewers, one guy to keep an eye on in that series will be Jesus Aguilar, who hit another home run today, his 21st of the year. He has been otherworldly the last few weeks. Three and two to Dietrich.
He certainly has. He's a big part of what the Brewers are doing, and a lot of reasons why that people are starting to pick the Brewers as their new favorite team in the National League. A lot of things going right for them right now.
3-2 to Dietrich. Did he hold up? He did.
5th time on base today for Dietrich. Wow. All right, you ready for this? I know. Well, all right.
Just say yes.
Just
okay, fine.
Stop doing that.
It was rhetorical.
Yeah, I know it was. It's your mood I'm trying to deal with right now. Snap into it here, pal. If I told you that the Marlins are out hitting the Nationals by 7 hits in this series, would you believe me?
No, not at all.
They are.
This one out to right field. Goodwin a step or two in front of the track. That is fascinating.
It really is, I think, because, you know, the storylines in yesterday's game and a lot of this and that. I mean, here you are at Game 4. We talk about the consecutive, obviously, losses that the Marlins have been dealing with. But when you sit back and think about this for a second, I know today, it's kind of what got my mind working on it. We had 18 hits today. Nationals only 4. They've out-hit the Nationals 48-41 in this series.
That's crazy. That is...
Doesn't feel that way, as I guess is my point.
No. And that kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was saying before about how you look at the scores and you look at the games and you think, well, it was a completely mismatched series. But they were in every game.
Right.
At one point, you know, whether it was the middle innings or late innings or whatever, it was 3-3 with Scherzer. They had Scherzer on the ropes at times last night. They erased 2 deficits against Scherzer last night. Got away late, I understand. I'm not trying to, you know, minimize an 18-4 loss. I get it. It was ugly at the end, but The point of it is, they've had chances. Heck, today they've got 18 hits, 6 runs on the board, and they've left 15 runners on base. Another base hit for JT Realmuto. That is his 4th of the day. Oh, that's 5. Oh, well, jeez. That's 5.
You and the big numbers.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Well, that is the first 5-hit game of the year for the Marlins. And their 19th single of the day. I mean, 19 hits. Give me a break.
No extra base hits.
Yeah, I got 1 lost in the shuffle there.
Hey, listen, I knew it right. I think listen, the lineup's now turning over for a 6th time here in the 9th inning. I mean,
right.
that's insane. You just don't see that very often.
No.
I mean, 5 at bats on the road. You know, the 9 you're playing 9 innings, okay. But I mean, you have the potential for, maybe half your lineup getting that 6th at bat here this afternoon. That's 1 signal.
That's all I'm getting.
Honestly, it's only right around 5 or 6% of the actual total.
Bohr, left center field. Hey, they might have an extra base hit here. That's going to score a couple of runs as Realmuto around third. A 2 RBI double for Justin Bohr.
And a standing ovation from the Marlins dugout for hit number 20 being a double. No, I'm just kidding. Certainly are all about the insurance runs. Nice approach there. 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Time and time again, JB loves to get those arms extended and does just that. Look at the head down, targeting that left center field gap. A nice swing, couple of RBIs, a nice double. I'm not going to dare use the word comfortable.
Starlin Castro now. Swung on and missed. Well, the 20 hits, long surpassing a season mark. They had 17 in June in St. Louis, up to 20 today. The last time the Marlins had a 20-hit game was last July in Texas. That was that Yu Darvish game.
Yeah, that day was a little bit more thunderous, if I remember correctly. There was some home runs, doubles, triples, all sorts of things going on that afternoon. Stare downs, long home runs.
Probably some tipped pitches.
Yeah, Yu Darvish conversation, sure enough. Tell you what, even the 9th spot in the lineup for the Marlins has been incredibly productive. Richards had a couple of sacrifice bunts, a couple of pinch hitters, 2 hits there. 2 for 3.
Every Marlins starting position player with at least a hit. Realmuto is 5 for 6. Bohr 2 for 5. Castro multi-hit game. Prado's got 3 hits. Riddle's got 2 hits. Maben's got 2 hits. It's quite a day.
Now, what's so?
Shallow right. Murphy waves everybody off, and he'll make the play.
I'll tell you what's impressed me is the fact that this game showed up the day after yesterday. I think everybody knows where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Yesterday was not a good feeling. Getting back from the ballpark, momentum, storylines, walk-offs the day before that, bad loss the day before that. I mean, this game could have gone in a million different directions, Paul, and it not being this one, which has been a deliberate offensive approach, a starter who survived his own walks in a bullpen that has come in and shut it down.
Kelvin Herrera in the Nationals bullpen. Well, Don Mattingly said before the game, when he was again asked about last night and how this series has gone, as Prado gets a base hit down the right field line, that will score Bohr. It'll head toward the corner, and it's an extra base hit for Martin Prado. An RBI double here in the ninth.
I think he brought it up one too many times. They heard you down there.
Hey, if I jumpstart the offense, I will take the credit.
Yeah, no, that's not where we're going with that. I just heard you talking about all the singles. How about Martin Prado? My goodness. 4-hit day.
Now JT Riddle to the backstop, and to third goes Prado. Well, anyway, what Donnie said before the game today was you could tell a lot about a guy's character, and a guy's meaning his team, about their character and how they bounce back. And you're absolutely right. I mean, this series, again, at the end of the day, at the end of the 3 days, gut-wrenching to some degree. But a nice bounce back today, and they'll add to it as JT Riddle with his third hit of the game. Another RBI. It's now 10-2 Marlins.
I'm telling you, I don't think they're getting tired in the dugout. There's the payback that's going into today's game. No doubt about it. It's been a tough run going back to last season. 14 consecutive losses. We probably thought they had game one. Definitely had a shot at game two. Had no shot yesterday after the 5th inning. But I'll tell you what. I think I said it to you maybe about 2 or 3 innings ago. You play this game like it's your last, and every at bat is your last, because you've watched this Nationals team roar back on you so many times. The Marlins aren't giving away any at bats late. How about this? It's now 10-2. If Maben can reach the entire lineup, every spot in the lineup will have come to the plate 6 times in a 9-inning game.
With 10 runs, 22 hits. And I'm looking at the 4th inning for what might have been a turning point of this game, when the Marlins intentionally walked Bryce Harper to load the bases for the hottest guy in the last 72 hours, Mark Reynolds, and Drew Rosinski came out of the bullpen and got him to ground out and ended that threat.
I'll pair that with a couple of innings from Conley.
Sure.
To me, that's the section of where this game was really decided, at least in my mind. This Marlins offense was roaring from the very beginning. They had guys on base in the first. Every inning we talked about leadoff guys being on, runners in scoring position. I mean, it felt like it was bound to happen. But you get to the key spot in the response from the Nats, which the Nats have done all series long. They've responded. They've found ways to get the game tied and get it done. Dave Martinez making his way out. The point being that the bullpen is actually what slammed that door shut. And you're absolutely right about the Rosinski out. Conley coming in after getting knocked around a couple of days ago.
Well, speaking of the bullpen, that is going to do it for Ryan Madson, as he has walked a couple in this inning, but surrendered 4 hits, 2 singles, 2 doubles, and 4 more runs have come across for the Marlins here in the 9th inning. It's time for another Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here in Washington, D.C. So you remember earlier in the game when I joked that Mark Reynolds was Babe Ruth? Well, now he's pitching just like Babe Ruth. And Pedro Severino in. That one gets away, no advance. So Mark Reynolds has done just about everything this series. Spencer Kieboom goes from behind the plate to third base. Again, Pedro Severino off the bench. And Brian Holiday off the bench for the Marlins. As for the second time in a week, you go back to that 16-inning game when he faced Jesus Sucre, who's faced a position player again. Two shot to first, Adams. And what's left of the Nationals crowd today cheering on Mark Reynolds. A 10-2 lead for the Marlins. Kyle Bearclaw is in to try to finish this one out in his 41st game this season. Clearly not a save situation, but he was up and probably rather heated up by the time it was when it was a 6-2 game, and then the Marlins added runs. So you figure, well, he's already warmed up, might as well get him in there. WB Mason Marlins Live post-game show coming up when this one finally comes to an end, although you hate to see this offense go to sleep for a night. Marlins have certainly broken things open today. We'll hear from Don Mattingly on the heels of a 10-run, 22-hit afternoon for the Marlins. Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, the men due up against Bearclaw here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, Trey Turner has the dubious distinction of having an 8 RBI game in this series and also striking out 4 times.
Right back to Bearclaw, took away a hit, 1 away.
Yeah, clearly he wasn't going to wait around for 5. He wasn't going to give himself any shot at that, right? So swinging. All right, I'll finish the thought. One hopper right back to Bearclaw. It has been almost 16 years. Manny Ramirez was the last to do it, had 10 RBIs in a game and a 4 strikeout game in that exact same series against the Rays, July 2002.
Soto takes ball 1. Holiday stays in the game behind the plate. JT Realmuto goes over to first. Strike 1 to Soto. Couple of walks for Soto today. Also came around to score a run in the 3rd inning. Well, the Brewers next for the Marlins, and they have a 10-1 lead in Milwaukee at home against the Braves. So both teams coming off double-digit run outputs tomorrow night. First of 3. Jose Urena and Chase Anderson, the 2 starting pitchers, on the air at 6:30. And the first pitch a little after 7.
Well, the Marlins, this is the 5th series all time which they've had at least 50 hits. Prado's hit in the top of the 9th was actually number 51. Last time they did it, 2008, 4-game series in Colorado.
They are 1 out away from getting the last game of this 4-game series. Soto is retired. Bryce Harper, the last hope for the Nationals. He takes ball 1. Harper has a couple of home runs in his career against Kyle Barraclough. But to the best of my knowledge, he cannot drive in 8 with 1 swing of the bat.
Now you can drive in 8. We've seen that in this series already.
With 1 swing of the bat,
yeah,
Ollie.
No, can't do it with 1 swing of the bat.
That was my qualifier there.
Okay.
Maybe though with the bonus ball in the home run derby,
gold ball
next week. Yeah. Of which Harper said he may participate.
Oh, May? Is it still a May?
Well, it's a May if he makes the team. And he was the leading vote getter, I believe, for right fielders the last update on Monday. But again, in about a little less than 2 hours' time, we'll find out all of the All-Stars, both voted in and chosen by peers and coaches. Harper figures to be part of the All-Star game. We certainly hope that JT Realmuto is part of the All-Star game. I mean, it's too late to cast votes, but how about a 5-hit day? Does that work for you?
It's definitely a cherry on the sundae. Felt like that's kind of what this trip was, in some regards for JT. Again, the big home run yesterday against Scherzer I thought was significant in that it was done in front of a national audience. Of course, the 5-hit day continues to make our point. I think it really does anything more for his resume other than the fact that it's a 5-hit game.
Well, Mark Reynolds had a 5-hit game yesterday. Today, not a 5-hit game, but he has pitched. Out to right field and a base hit for Mark Reynolds. My goodness.
Pitch, he can hit for power, he can drive in runs. What can't he do?
They're heading on the road, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was, in the laundry room doing the laundry after the game, just like he does it all. He's a one-man band.
Here, watch this one. He got Anthony Rendon benched.
Yeah, that's
no,
saying something.
Kidding. Come on, man. I'm kidding, right?
I know. Okay. Here's Matt Adams. 2 on and 2 out. And Realmuto makes the play, throws it to Barraclough, and it's a Marlins win. 10-2 the final score. They put an end to a 14-game losing streak against the Washington Nationals. Hits all over the place today for the Marlins. 10 runs, 22 hits as they pick up the victory here in D.C. We step aside from the nation's capital. When we come back, the W.B. Mason Marlins Live postgame show 10-2 the final score.